I'm back in the bush. I'm doing another challenge to see how I go surviving with just a few items. I've got the same stuff as last time. I've got the knife, mask and snorkel, pair of shorts, but this time I did bring shoes and socks. My feet got really battered last time, and there are a few things that I can use both the shoes and socks for to help make life a bit easier, so I brought them along this time. I'm just looking for a spot to camp now. You can see I'm kind of walking up this creek, but I've been walking up the sides on the banks and it's just really thick bush. So I'm going to take the shoes off and just walk up the creek itself because it's not too deep. And then, yeah, hopefully find a nice overhang or something like that which I can set camp under it. I've been walking up that creek for about 200 or 300 metres now. It was pretty tough going just because there's been so much rain recently and it's just pushed so much flood debris down. But it didn't take me too long and I found this pretty cool spot. I'm next to the creek here. Got a big waterfall up there. And then I've got this nice deep overhang which goes pretty far back. It'll definitely keep me out of the rain. I'll have to make a bit of a bed because it's kind of damp on the ground at the moment, but it's a good little spot. Just got to make a fire to keep the mozzies away and yeah, get some food after that. Not too far from the beach still, so it's a good little spot. Because it's been so wet lately, all this timber that's on the ground is just really sodden, and in terms of using it to start a fire, it'd be pretty difficult, if not impossible. So what I'm doing to collect little kindling and stuff is just getting these small branches that are still attached to the tree but are completely dead, as they've dried out much faster than any of the stuff on the ground would. Just makes it way easier to start a fire. Found these two plants here called snake grass. They've got these really sharp kind of leaves which will cut you if you pull them too hard, but when they dry out they make perfect kindling to start a fire with. So I'm just going to collect some of these dried leaves from the snake grass and use that to start my fire. After walking for a little while, I found this nice grass tree flowering spike, so I'm going to get that and I'll be able to use it to make a bow drill to make the fire later on. I'm just looking for a stick to use as the bow for my bow drill to make the fire. And you don't really need anything that's too flexible or special, you just need something with like a reasonable bow shape. So I'm going to attach the string from like there to there. So yeah, I'll probably just chop here and there, and then that'll be my bow. There's my bow. So I've got this snake grass here, which I'm going to use to make my tinder bundle. It's just really important to prep this because once you get that ember you really don't have that much time, and you need your tinder to be as dry and fluffy and light as possible so it can catch a flame. So I've just folded it all up here and I'm just going to give it a good twist and kind of mash it up so I can get all these small fibres so the ember will have the best chance of possible of turning to a flame. I'm just making my bow drill now. So I've got these two grass tree stalks. I'm going to use this smaller one as the spindle and then this one as the half, and then I'll use this stick as the bow. So this is where the shoes come in handy. I'm going to take out the shoelace and that'll be the string to make the bow with. I'm now pretty much ready to go to make the fire with the bow drill. So I've got the bow here, got my spindle here, the haft which has got a hole already slightly drilled out by me by the knife. This is to catch the ember. It's also a piece of the grass tree and should in theory help hold the ember a bit better. And then I've got my tinder bundle here with a bit of the grass tree kind of shavings in there. And then over there you can see I've got the bed and where I'm going to put the fire, and I've got heaps of kindling there. So I'm all prepped up and ready to go, which is kind of the most important thing when you're making a fire this way, because it takes so much effort just to get that ember. If you don't have everything prepared, then it'll just go out and you won't get the fire going. Unfortunately, the shoelaces didn't last very long. You can see I did have the beginnings of smoke, and I don't know, I got pretty close, but shoelaces have just snapped now. I've now taken out the shoelace from the other shoe and tied it on. So this is round 2. I've been trying now for like, I don't know, feels like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get a fire going. And like you can see, I've made heaps of attempts, but just can't seem to catch a flame. So, I don't know, I guess the tinder's just too wet. So after, I don't know, 2 hours or so, I just got some really dry tinder and really made sure to fluff it up. Now I've finally gotten a fire. It took absolutely forever to get a fire going in the end. Just the tinder was so wet that I really needed to put a lot of work into getting it as fine and fluffy as possible in order for it to finally take the flame. But I do have a fire now, and the shelter is actually looking really good. I've got all these ferns as a bed this time, which are actually pretty comfortable. They give quite a bit of cushioning from the sand underneath. And then you can see back in there, I've got the fire going with a few rocks behind it to reflect the heat back towards me. I've started collecting some wood, so I've got it on hand for at night when I need to add it to the fire. But now I'm gonna get out of here and head down to the beach and try and find some stuff in the ocean. So I've walked down the creek down towards the beach now. You can see there's this lagoon right here. The ocean's just there. And then in here we've got this plant called pig face, which has these little fruits on it, and you can see inside them. No, that wasn't a very good one. You can see you push out, and that inside there is edible. And actually, it tastes pretty good. It's like a slightly salty kiwi fruit, but yeah, they're not bad. So heaps of that kind of plant around, so I'm gonna have a look through there and try and forage some more of them. As I've been walking along looking for things to forage, I've spotted this tiny little snake. At first I thought it was a brown, but it's got this marking under its eye, and I'm pretty sure it's not. I think it's this snake that's only mildly venomous. I'm not 100% sure though, so I'm not going to touch it or get too close to it, but it's definitely pretty cool to see. I was planning on jumping in with the mask and snorkel, but as you can see, there's some serious swell running. It's really rough, lots of water moving around, so I'm gonna look around for a while and see if I can't find a protected spot. Otherwise, I'll just have to look around in the rock pools and stuff and hopefully find something that way. I was in the water for a while then, just getting washed around heaps. As you can see, the video, the visibility was just awful and there was just so much water moving around. I had to get out eventually because I was starting to get cold, and all I managed to get was these 2 turban snails. This bigger one's not, it's pretty big, so it'll have a bit of meat in it, but just the 2 of them. This is quite a light dinner. Prepped up the turban snail now, and that is what I've got for dinner. I'll try and show you. There it is in my hand. There's not a lot there. So definitely going to be pretty hungry still tonight. Tomorrow morning, hopefully the swell will drop a bit and I'll be able to jump back in and get something more substantial. But for tonight, this is dinner. By the time I got back, the fire was just reduced down to these really small embers. It was pretty easy to get going again though, so I've got it cranking now just to warm up a bit and cook my skewer of turban snail. It's pretty good. I just wish I got a few more. Starting to get a bit later in the day now. It's almost in the early evening, and I am again worried about the mozzies. So this time what I'm going to do is collect some of this tea tree and then grind it all up into a bit of a paste or a poultice, and then rub that all over myself, and hopefully that should help keep the mozzies off me. I've now rubbed that all in, basically just all over my entire body. It smells really strong, so hopefully the mosquitoes don't like it and keep away. It's getting pretty late in the evening now, the sun's almost completely set. It's getting quite dark as well. Got the fire going pretty nicely in there, and it's quite warm, all the rocks are reflecting the heat back towards me. Got a decent stack of firewood for the night ahead and some big logs already going. So it should be a good night. There's no mozzies at all. There's also a thick screen of smoke at the top of the shelter that you probably can't see, but I'd say that'll help keep them away. It's been about 2 hours since dark now, so it must be like 10 o'clock or so. And I've been trying to get to sleep, but just haven't been able to at all. Just been lying here wide awake. The fire's going pretty well. It's definitely keeping me warm. The shelter's quite nice. This bed of ferns that I made this time is definitely a lot more comfortable than the one I was on last time, but I don't know, right now I'm just lying here very hungry and very bored, trying to get to sleep and seriously thinking about heading home. I know I can be at a Macca's in probably 90 minutes, and at the moment the thought of a few cheeseburgers is extremely tempting. It's been an hour or so now since I last checked in. I haven't been able to get to sleep. I've just been lying on the ground, cold and, well, not cold, I'm pretty warm, but hungry, and yeah, bored. So I think I'm going to pull the pin, go home, get something to eat. It was a good trip. The day was fun. I got a lot done, but I don't know. I feel like with these past 2 trips I've just bitten off a bit more than I could chew. So yeah, if I do something like this again, I'm going to take a bit more stuff and be a bit better prepared, and hopefully last a bit longer. I mean, the days are always fine, it's just the nights which are hard to get through. Anyway, still a good trip.